All right, so we're here at Scottish Aquatics, and I've been trying to get here for like a year. You remodeled.
Yep.
I traveled a bunch, and this weekend happened to line up, so we're here, and we're just going to go through his house, which is, you know, kind of just fish tanks and living space. So we're just, no particular order, we're just starting with the first thing we saw when we walked in the door, and that's this right here. What do we got going on, size, all that kind of stuff?
So this is a 75-gallon paludarium. I tried to make it as close to a biotope style as I could with emergent plants and emergent wood and separate substrates. On the right side here we used a gravel sort of substrate, weaning into the sand beach side, going up and out of the water. Eventually I will pile that sand up to kind of create a riverbed side, if you will. This here is all one piece of wood that I actually got from the bearded fish keeper. Him and Jimmy, I believe, found this piece out in the wild, and they brought it back and utilized it, and this is how I chose to use it. We've got Bucephalandra, we've got Anubias, we have weeping moss and all kinds of things kind of growing up and above the waterfall and in the current there.
Yeah, so did you do anything to prep the wood? Because that's one of the most asked questions. I got a piece of wood, what now?
So I rinsed it to the best of my ability. I dragged it into my shower and I put the pressure wash on it, and I used a lot of heat, as much heat as I could to kind of kill any bacteria as possible. A couple pots of boiling water if necessary, dump it on it to kind of sterilize it. Yeah. Then I let it dry out, and then once it became fully dried, I sunk it in, submerged it. I found a nice tight squeeze just in case it decided to float. I found some way to kind of wedge it in between the glass and the overflow in the back there. Okay. And so that's how I got it to stay submerged. It didn't want to float, and I think after so much time it obviously stays down. But I wanted to try and figure out a way to utilize it above the water line, below the water line.
Yeah, and to give you any problems? Or
no, actually I've had zero problems with it. This scape did take about 6 weeks approximately to fully come together after getting all the pieces and all
some baby apistos too.
There's some they're breeding in there. I haven't had to remove the parents. I haven't had to remove the babies. One reason being is because of all the debris you see floating around the bottom there. It allowed great hiding for the babies. I previously have had rainbow emperor tetras in here that actually bred. You'll see a baby or two swimming around in there as well.
So I see some. So I did a little bit of research before I got here. I saw one of the videos. I think you did an unboxing from like Tannin Aquatics.
Is
that what's going on down here?
Yes, sir. That's exactly what's going on here. They provide you all kinds of different barks and seed pods and some dried up leaves and stuff to kind of add as a debris and litter to go across the bottom of your substrate.
Baby emperor tetra.
Nice. There's hillstream loaches in here, a mono shrimp. And this is actually, believe it or not, one of my easiest tanks to maintain. This one I've had to do virtually nothing but top off the water. I do water changes every 2 weeks, but minimal water changes. And it takes care of itself.
Do you have to fertilize or anything?
No, I don't dose this tank. I had CO2 running for a short period, and then I realized it wasn't really doing much to help this tank.
Sure.
So we kind of cut it off, and now we're just letting it do its thing.
And for lighting, looks like?
This one's simple. We have a 36-inch Beamworks. We have a 48-inch Stingray, and we have another little Fluval, or Phoenix, light that we got right above the waterfall here for the boost.
Nice.
So it's pretty simple. Filtration is very simple. There's just a simple water pump that I attached the plastic tube and was able to wrap a sponge around it, so it's got filtration. And I use the exhaust side to kind of feed the waterfall. So I super glued a hose to the other side of the pump and ran that hose up and behind the tank and over the waterfall there. So that's creating that waterfall effect.
So another thing I see that people ask me all the time, and because I'm a professional, I can't really answer because it can get me into trouble, but as a hobbyist, you can answer.
Absolutely.
What do you look for when you're going to put a tank on something like a dresser or a banquet table, that kind of stuff?
Okay, so I usually go for the hardest wood possible, obviously. Usually hardwood furniture is usually going to be pretty solid. This tank, once again, it's on a dresser and it's only half filled. That's just above half, but with all the things that are in it, it's probably only 50 gallons. So I did utilize this because of the lightweight that it was going to be on. So I did kind of keep that in mind also when I was setting it up. What do we got here? What do we got here? We got a plant tank. We have Takashi Yamano's ADA Solar One.
Wow, I think that might be the first time I've seen an ADA light in a hobbyist tank that wasn't just, I own one aquarium at my house.
Right.
Like usually it's so specialized.
Right. It's a specific tank. It's meant
Yeah.
to do one thing and one thing only. You're absolutely right.
Because this light is crazy expensive, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. These things go for $350 to $500, I believe,
Right.
somewhere. So it is an expensive light. I'm kind of debating if I want to continue using it on these specific plants because I am noticing I'm getting a lot of great green.
Yep.
But it's not exactly the spectrum. I think I need to get all the reds and stuff that I have planted in here.
I see.
It does great growth. The growth is there, but I don't think the spectrum is proper for the colored plants that I actually have in there. I
How long
should be
have you
getting more
been
color.
running it on there?
This is a young tank, actually. This tank's only been up for about a month to a month and a half.
Okay.
So it's super young, so I'm trying to give it time.
Yeah.
Give it some adjustment period to see if everything kind of settles in after a certain amount of time. Everything has been growing a lot better these last 2 weeks, and I'm finally through my algae stage. I did go through an algae stage.
Yeah.
Powerful light, young tanks, so on.
So I see stuff I want to talk about because I get asked all the time.
Yes.
So a couple things.
Yes.
I think we're running dirt.
Yes. This is a
and
dirty
we
tank.
also are running sand. So
Yep.
tell me any challenges or what you like about that, because obviously I know you have much more tanks.
Yes.
So you have a lot of styles going on.
Right.
And what do you like and don't like versus maybe tank 1, tank 2, and maybe what we're going to see.
All right, so we'll consider this one tank 1 compared
Yeah.
to the other planted tank that we actually have up at the moment,
Okay.
which many more are coming. And each one will have different substrates and different lights and different things, kind of seeing what each thing can kind of provide to you. I'm trying to find a mathematical equation that can kind of equal this sort of success that you can expect, right? And in this one being dirted, like I said, with the dirt, I think I was going through a major algae phase because I was getting too many nutrients in the water from the dirt, especially during the beginning stages, the first 4 to 6 weeks as any tank has its cycle. And so after time, it settles. I notice it takes about 2 months before everything settles in, but once it does, everything begins to take off, and it's a very rapid growth. I can be in here and trimming every week and have new growth, and everything just gets thicker, bushier, and more colorful. The dirt, you're going to go through stages. I don't suggest you not do it, but unless you're ready to kind of go through picking algae out of your tank and scrubbing glass and stuff for a while, then I say go for it, because the results are worth it. You do get great growth, fast growth, and as you can see, we have many plants, loads of plants, many that you can, so many I can't even keep track. I have a whiteboard here
I saw the whiteboard.
I try to keep them all in track, and it's just tough because when you have this many, it tends to get out of your hands, but we do a lot of homework.
So in this tank, do you have to dose any fertilizers, and what's your water change schedule like?
So I do many water changes. The first 2 months of this aquarium, I do water changes every other day, every 3 days.
How much are you changing, roughly?
50%. Now, right now, what I'm dosing is I'm dosing Flourish Advance, which is a daily dose.
Yep.
And then I use Easy Iron,
Yep.
which is, of course, going to be great for your colors, get the reds out. And then we're experimenting with this Fluval Grow.
Yeah, how do you like it so far? I haven't used it yet. So
I have used better things.
Okay.
I have used better things. I will say Easy Green's opened the game. I try to stick with Easy Green. I use this Flourish Advance. This stuff has been my best friend.
Yeah, we use it in the warehouse and everything to get really good root growth and stuff like that.
Yeah, this has been my best friend. I've seen the best results from Flourish Advance as far as getting the best colors and the best root growth and everything.
Yeah, we definitely, because we're converting all the plants before we sell them, and it helps that transition really quick and get a lot of roots.
Exactly.
You know, so I don't have extensive it's really bringing out my colors, because I focus kind of on the different part of that game.
Right.
Like, okay, transitioning.
Right.
Yeah.
And this one, same thing. This is
wow,
an
you got two of them.
ADA solar one.
Yeah.
This one has a different bulb in it. As you can see, this one has a little bit more of a blue tint to it.
Yeah.
And that's helping me get a lot more different colors, better colors out of my plants.
Because I got to admit, looking at the other tank, I'm like, oh, he's not getting the colors he wants. I'm like, I don't know, what are the odds? But I didn't realize he had the same exact light over with a different bulb. And it's like, okay, that's a fair comparison at this point. 240 breeders.
Correct, right? Yeah. Same size tanks, same dimensions, everything's the same. The lights are hung about the same level. So we have a slightly different spectrum, and we have a different substrate. We're using Fluval stratum.
Okay.
And I guess the fact that I'm running a different bulb makes it tough to know if it's the substrate.
That's the problem with hobbyist testing always, is like, you want to have fun, and you don't want to just have 40 tanks. Like, well, they're all running dirt.
Correct.
And 40 different lights right now.
Correct.
In 5 years, I can tell you a little bit more.
Right.
You know?
It's tough. It's a tough gamble, and you got to really do the math. I mean, it takes a long time. Said I've ran through LEDs, I've ran through metal halides, I've gone through all the different lights, you know, and these ones are definitely worth the money. But even I'm thinking about trading them out for a Fluval.
Sure.
3.0.
That's like the best endorsement I could ever get right there. I didn't even have to pay for that.
No, you didn't. But you know, I've been running them for months now, and in months I feel like I'm just not getting enough span across all the tank, and I'm not just.
I mean, obviously on the camera screen here, the shimmer effect is amazing.
Oh,
you
good.
know, like,
Good,
it looks
good,
really
good.
and that's what I love about pendant lights is.
Now, if you look at this tank, it's got a big center brace here, right? A big split. Now, I've been kind of playing around with this one on how to try to get the same CO2 into both sides while trying to get the same kind of circulation on both sides.
Okay.
And so I have a couple pumps here running that's just kind of turning the water. And then I have my canister sucking water from this side and putting it in over here on this side. And then it kind of overflows over like a waterfall effect over the center. And that's kind of how I'm getting everything on this side, plus the blower here is kind of pushing everything over here. As it all gets sucked down into that intake, it circles back around. So I'm trying to
It is kind of an interesting, what I'm noticing is like there's a lot of turbulence on the top here.
Right.
And then just this divider slows it down enough, you start getting a little bit of protein film buildup.
Yep.
Not a lot, but just enough that the bubbles don't instantly pop like they would on the other side.
So once again, it's been a science experiment, right? So I've been trying to find the right circulation, the right amount, the right positioning, whatnot, right? Because I don't want to blow everything out of the roots.
Right.
I don't want to, you know, uproot everything. And so it's tough. It's been tough. This tank's only been up for about a week.
Okay.
And so in the last week, I've been having to play with that current. That one's been up for 2 months. This one's been up for a week.
And what do you like on water changes on this one compared to, let's say, the dirt tank?
All right, so this one's been way less. The algae that I was having in that tank isn't surviving in this tank.
Okay.
Very interesting to me because I'm running everything the same.
Yeah, basically swapping substrate at that point.
Right, exactly. So I don't know if the pH level, I want to do some testing. I haven't done any testing, especially since I just set this thing up. So, and there's no livestock in here. There's no fish, no shrimp, no nothing. So I haven't had to worry about really testing the water. I'm just trying to get these plants spent about a week in a tub.
Okay.
Because we had a 125 gallon here, and I decided to set up 40 gallons all across this wall instead. Okay. So we got rid of the 125, and that's where this came in, and so it just got set up. And
nice.
So that's where we're at now. The colors are coming in real nice, but these things took a real beating being in the tub for a week.
All right, let's take a look at this.
Let's look at this.
I want to get down low here so I can...
Absolutely. This is your coffee table tank.
Yeah.
A lot of emergent growth going on here. These are Japanese peace lilies.
Okay, that's I was going to say peace lily. Then they started Japanese. I was like, ooh, good thing I didn't say anything. I would have been wrong.
Right.
It turns out I'm all right.
Yeah, no, you're good. You can see I got all these plants kind of everywhere around the house, and these are all just basic house plants. That
Were
you
into house plants before aquariums, or
nope.
was it just side by side?
Nope, it all came together. Like I've always kind of been fascinated with trying to bring as much of the tank outside of the tank as much as inside.
Yeah.
And hence the paludarium, which is why I really love the paludarium style aquariums, because they bring the best of both worlds, the above growth, the below growth. I eventually want to have an area dedicated to something big enough to where I can actually have animals living above and below.
Nice. That's kind of a holy grail for me too.
Exactly.
It's quite an operation to pull it off well.
It is.
And not kind of hack it together and be like, so
we have some pencil fish in this tank. We have those are
like the wild rice fish?
Blue rice fish, blue daisy rice fish.
Yep. You got a few names.
We got some cherries, cherry shrimp. We got some red Riley shrimp. And that's pretty much it for the livestock. Lots of Anubias. You can see the roots just kind of took over in the substrate there from the peace lilies.
So I know something we haven't covered yet. Because I was just thinking, I was like, hey, this thing, you got to get power to it and all that. How long are you running the lights on these tanks?
Okay, so due to the algae issue in the first plant tank, I've cut back the hours on these, on both plant tanks to about 6 hours a day. Okay. They were running 10 to 12. Yep. So I think I was getting way too much light for just way too long. Sure. So we cut it back. Ever since we cut it back, we're getting a lot of algae die-off, so everything's kind of coming back into sync now. Yep. And so now I run the plant tanks on lower hours, about 6 hours a day, every other tank, I run them for 10 to 12 hours a day.
All right.
Some of these tanks, I have multiple lights on, as you can see, where I can, if I need to turn one down for a week, I can turn one down for a week, you know, if I'm getting too much light. And I've been battling temperature, obviously, with the summertime hitting.
Right.
Everything's warming up.
In Washington, we don't really have air conditioning or anything like that, so.
No swamp coolers, no air conditioners. We don't have anything of that fancy nature, so.
All right, so now we're in your dining room kitchen area.
Yep.
And I love these tanks, so go ahead and tell me why, what they're doing, what's in them.
All right, so we got 3 matching cubes, all rimless. They're all about 7 gallons. And we have 3 different scapes going on, all on one stand. This is a 55-gallon aquarium stand, so the dimensions of these tanks just worked out perfect to sit symmetrically on this.
Nice.
We have a Fluval 2.0 lighting it.
Yep.
I kind of was going with the Iwagumi styles aquascapes.
Okay. And for those that don't know what that is, kind of what is that roughly?
All right, so that's basically just a big centerpiece rock or a couple centerpiece rocks with just a carpet of plants going on around it, right? I kind of recently added a little bit of taller plants, which I probably shouldn't have done, but I think it looks okay.
I always get bored, like, oh, it looks great.
Always have to spice it up more, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So we got Fluval stratum in this one. We got Fluval stratum in that one.
Okay.
This one's just a tan basic substrate that you got there, sand. And all utilizing the same sort of rock, which is a dragonstone.
Nice.
All of them have Anubias creeping and crawling on the peaks of all the rocks. And I was really going for the carpet effect, so we went with sturgeon repens on the left side there. And on the right one, we have a Limno aromatica, which is a really nice plant. As you can see, it's kind of coloring up.
Will it grow real tall and you're just trimming it real low? Or?
No, this is actually a compact version. I also do have the taller version. I have the taller version and the compact version. And so what I plan on doing here soon is setting up a scape with just those 2 plants mixed in, right? Kind of creating a grade going backwards into the taller version of it, and it's going to be fun. So I'm excited for that.
One of my favorite plants.
The Vesuvius. Yes, this is also one of my favorite plants. I've been having a little difficulty growing it lately. I was doing so great for a while, and they were so tall and super healthy. And
it takes a while for them to establish, and then they'll just keep making a billion more, and then you make them angry, and they do nothing but melt back.
Exactly, and that's kind of where we're at right now. They're barely starting to make a comeback now, so I'm happy about that. But this was fun to do. This was a lot of fun. Once again, emergent growth, kind of growing up out of the hang-on back filters, peace lilies. This one was called an umbrella plant of some sort. I don't remember the technical name of it.
Usually any store can order that because they're on like the reptile plant section of like lists and stuff. Yeah, because I always see them that you can order those and like what is it, like the aluminum plants and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
For reptiles.
Exactly, right? Air plants. You know, things like this. And I love it. I love the above water. I love the below water. I just love making it look more than what it is. You know, it's meant to be an aquarium stuck in a cube. Let's make it a little bit more, you know? So I try to bring it out.
Is the tall plant in the back of this one Pogostomen erectus?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
I wish that plant would come in. When I buy it from a farm, it comes so different, and it's like a woody stem and very tiny leaves, and it melts so hard.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, just recently, looking at the top of that, I've had that in my high-tech plant tank for a long time, and I'm seeing colors kind of out of the top of the leaves there that I've never seen. Some pink colors, and I don't think I've ever seen that out of that plant before, but sure enough. And there's no CO2 running in any of these tanks. Well,
I always forget to ask people that, because I myself run so little CO2 outside of like the warehouse.
Of course.
Because instead of me imposing my opinion, let me ask this question. If you had to pick a number, what percentage of plants do you think absolutely have to have CO2, and what percentage do you think you can get by with just good light and fertilizer?
Honestly, I think you've got a good 50% of that number there. I think there's going to be a lot of even those high-tech plants that I have in those big CO2 tanks. A lot of those will survive in a lower tech setup, no CO2, and will grow just fine. I've done it. The AR will grow just fine. The super red Ludwigia will grow just fine. All of these plants, and these are super red and super pink plants, they all will convert to a low tech setup. It will take time. Your best friend is going to be lighting still in a lot of these plants, but you don't necessarily have to have a good substrate or CO2 or any of these things. These will all do fine. Once again, these tanks are highly established and minimal water changes. I do about once every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
and I do maybe 20%.
Yeah.
20-25%.
I always like to ask that because I feel that there is almost no right or wrong answer to the water change thing.
And I also don't dose these tanks.
Oh, wow.
So there's no dosing. I
Yeah.
don't dose this carpet plant. I don't dose that carpet plant. There hasn't been any dosing.
Nice.
This is all from the Fluval Stratum and the Fluval 2.0.
All right, so what do we got going on in this setup?
All right, so this is the 55-gallon. This one's in my daughter's room.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is housing some Epistogramma double reds.
Okay.
Also some Epistogramma hongsly.
There's even babies in there, too.
There's babies in there. Yeah. We have super red bristlenose placos, breeders. We have a bunch of those babies running around here as well. Yeah. There is cherry shrimp and some giant Corydoras. I'm going to go ahead and feed this tank so we can try to get the... uh-oh. Looks like my battery died in my feeder. No, it didn't. There we go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Eheim button, you got to hit it on the right, like the correct side, or it won't do anything on the other side, even though it makes a click sound.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so we threw a little food in there. Let's try to get some of these Corydoras out. There's like a 6-inch snowball Placo in here, L201.
Nice.
He's pretty fancy. A lot of Anubias in here, as you can see. A bunch of driftwood. We have Bulbitis. We have some narrow leaf Java fern.
Mm-hmm.
What else? This one's just a basic gravel substrate. Nothing special going on.
Yeah.
There's only one light on it. Phoenix Stingray.
Yep.
No
this is a great
CO2.
example of, like, most people would love to have a tank this planted in their house, and it's like, there's nothing crazy fancy going on. Normal gravel.
Nope.
Like,
This one is as simple as it gets. This is $4 gravel from Home Depot.
Yeah.
The wood is probably the main accent, probably the most expensive piece of this.
And so it should just be like pea gravel, right?
Yep.
Because I know instantly someone said, wait, it's only $4? That'll be in the comments section. Like, what is he talking about? The
All
pea
right,
gravel
so
at
I
Home
found
Depot.
it in the back near the garden section.
Yeah.
And they come in big bags. I think it was called, what was it called? It starts with a V.
Yeah.
I know that.
Like a Viotro or something.
Yeah, Viotra or something like that. Yeah, and so that's what that is.
I've used it before, way back in the day, and the only thing I found to not absolutely love about it was, one, it's inert, but then two, it's a little bit more of a pain to gravel vac. That's all.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep clean. A lot of debris tends to get stuck down in between the cracks of all the rocks and whatnot. But if you keep up on your maintenance, you should be all right. But having a lot of tanks like we do, it's tough sometimes.
What's the maintenance you do on this tank?
This one's simple. Once a week water changes.
Okay.
And that's it.
And how much roughly?
50%. I like to do 50% on all my tanks.
Okay.
I've never had an issue with it, really. My water's pretty good here.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think I've had better success with the South American fish, because my water comes out.
Yeah, your water's closer to it.
Yep, exactly. So,
do you dose fertilizers in here at all?
I do not dose. No
Okay.
fertilizers.
Nice.
I actually dosed it once, and all the plants hated it.
Huh.
And so I had to. I decided to not do it again.
Yeah.
Because I started having some leaves melt back, and all kinds of things happen. So I think I might have overdone it.
Oh, I just realized that this is instantly going to spawn questions as well. So there's, obviously we have the Epistos there and the babies, and then right next door is the shrimp they're living, cohabitating.
Cohabitating just fine.
Yeah.
I've had no issues in any of my tanks really with shrimp. The discus, I caught them chasing a shrimp or two once or twice, but usually they can't get to them, and you'll see why. That tank is just so filled with so much wood and plants, and they have to hunt if they try to get any, but they're usually not very successful. And I think it's because of all the wood, all the plants, and all the hiding places, you know.
Now, this is a fun tank. This is, like, whenever I talk about the style of tank I like, this is that, the jungle style where, like, it's so dense that the fish are going to breed naturally, and, you know, it looks like it's running off a sponge filter, you know.
And honestly, Corey, that's what I try to do with all of my tanks. I try to go nature's way.
Yeah.
You know, I try to follow nature's footpath, and anything that she can provide to the tank, that's what I look for.
All right, so are we in the bedroom now? Is that?
All right, so this is the master bedroom with the master tank.
Yep.
This is a 120 gallon, 4 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet. Very large tank. I've had 125s before, and they just didn't seem anywhere near this big. So I love the dimensions of this tank. It's a little bit more cube style. It's very deep, which provides so much depth. As you can see here, we got the discus. This is a community style tank. Lots of Anubias, lots of Bulbitis. We have some Crips. Some jungle val going on back here. This is actually Valsinaria ruby red.
Yeah. Nice.
It's not showing a whole lot of red because there's no CO2. It's actually fairly low light. I only have a couple stingrays on here. And we have Ember Rose tetras, lots of stir-by corridors. There's probably 20 in here, maybe more. Let me throw an auto feed on.
Looks like you're running maybe the same gravel again, like the
same gravel again. Once again, this tank is based for simplicity. We have a sponge filter.
Yep.
We have a heater, and we have a blower here just for current because it is a big tank. I don't want stagnant water over here, just not moving. So we got that blowing around, and other than that, that's all it is. Weekly water changes.
I just realized, like, it's like in a closet.
Yes.
I didn't, like, it just looks like it's built in. Like, I just assumed, and then all of a sudden, like, wait a second, there's a closet.
We utilize everything that we can, right? Nice. Like I said, we try to, that's what the goal was, is to turn this into an area that'll look like it was meant to be.
Because it almost looked like it was built into the wall.
Right,
yeah.
Right. And so that was kind of my goal. So good, it's working.
Nice.
There's a lot going on here. These Anubias are huge. I mean, that's my hand, and that's still a foot back.
So, I want to cover a couple of things. I see a couple of heaters in there.
Yes.
So my first question will be, what temperature do you aim for in this tank?
This tank aims for 80.
Okay.
I try to keep it happy for the plants. I keep it happy for the discus and all the other fish. Now, the other ones I'm not so worried about because it's just suckerfish, plecos and whatnot, and those guys can usually acclimate to warmer temperatures fine. This tank has a little bit more cooler fish, if you will, such as the raspberry hats and the tetras and whatnot,
the
right?
white clouds and
Yeah,
that's why I was like, oh man, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on in here, right? So this tank was hard to find a balance for. I figured 80 degrees is probably the safest bed. It's warm enough for the discus, cold enough for everyone else to acclimate and adjust. And so far, everyone's done fine. I've had no issues with this tank whatsoever. Yeah. Once again, just like the 55, this tank is just simple.
How long has this tank kind of been here?
This tank's been here, well, I've had a tank here pretty much forever. We used to have a 75-gallon here.
Okay.
When we got our hands on this one, we swapped that one out, and that's what the Paludarium is now, actually. And so we moved this one in, and this tank's been here for a couple months. So we're always changing. Like I said, I get bored. I love aquascaping. Aquascaping is one of my funnest things to do when it comes to the hobby, and so I'm always having to rearrange. I'm always moving things around, taking this out and putting it there, taking this, putting it there, and just always rearranging because I always have new ideas. So it's fun. I can't thank you enough for coming to do this tour.
Hey, well, thanks for having us, and we'll be sure to put a link to your channel. Check it out. You can see previous projects, all that kind of stuff. He does, I've seen you do unboxings, you do DIY stuff, you're showing tanks and all that, and smaller channel, so you get it on the ground floor. And as I was driving here with Jimmy, I said, I'm shocked that you haven't gotten way more views because the quality of what's on the camera, I think you're just undiscovered.
I appreciate that a lot. That means the world to me because I really try to provide the best quality as I can. Yeah. And like I said before, I'm working on getting my camera game up. I'm going to wind up, investing in that.
But even still, when I was watching, it was perfectly acceptable. Like, sometimes I go, oh, I get why this person isn't doing well. Of course. I was honestly like, I think maybe just no one knows about what the quality's going on here.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that greatly. I mean, I try to breed the people nature-style aquariums. I like to bring them pristine aquascapes, and if they like what they see, they can always go to my channel and subscribe.
I think a lot of people resonate going, hey, this guy's just like me.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because that's what I am. I'm just another hobbyist like everyone else. And like everyone else, I want to turn my hobby into something bigger and greater, of course.
Always do, yeah.
So we do what we can at the moment, and we're going to be growing a lot.
Awesome.
Because this is just the beginning.